It is Friday, December 22nd, 2017, and I am awake, barely, with my coffee. Alright, so, what have I been up to? A couple things. One, I've been upgrading a lot of the equipment in the studio over the past week or so. So, like right now, I'm using an actual Blue Yeti mic. So I got the mic on one of those arms for your desktop mounted arm, with the stabilizer and the pop filter and stuff. So I cannot be wearing a headset all the time. Headsets tend to break anyway, and quite frankly, I'm tired of tripping over them. So I moved to this, which will be nice too. So when I'm drawing in real time with the real time art, I can just have a mic above me and I'm talking, and I don't got a giant headset hanging over. So that's one. Two, I've been adding. I've upgraded the camera for the artwork. So the setup I've had for the past several years is a Logitech 910C, and that's actually my desk has these bars that go up. There's another shelf. Came from IKEA. I bought this thing in 2003, and so this camera has been positioning downward from the top of that shelf, and then I zoom in for the art. Problem with that is you guys can't really see all the details like when I'm drawing, or especially with the color pencil. Like there's lots of textures and stuff that get lost. So I've upgraded to a Logitech 922 Pro, and I put that on another desk arm, so I can swivel that around and put it right up close to the art. And I've already done the camera modifications and tweaks, so shouldn't get in my way too much while I'm drawing. It's gonna take a little bit of a learning curve, right, to get used to having something there. So now I got this microphone hanging down in front of my face. I don't have that camera over me when I draw, so it's gonna be different. What else? Since I upgraded that camera, I'm also going to be upgrading the camera that I have to my right, which faces at my noggin, at my face. So every now and then I do the live podcast where we talk, like for art tips, or used to be for the podcast, but this is replacing that. But definitely for art tips and whatnot, I'll have that camera on me there, and for the development blogs for Game Cave and whatnot. So that's going to get upgraded. That camera isn't in yet, so that arrives this week. What else have I been doing? It's a lot of stuff, actually. So I haven't been streaming live for the past week or so, and that's because I've been working on that Dragon Ball Z cover, and I was streaming for a while, and there just came this point where I couldn't move fast. Like sometimes streaming, you get slowed down. People ask you questions and whatnot, and so I had to turn the camera off and just focus on making art. I did record a lot of it on my end, so I'll be able to post those videos. I have to go through and edit because I accidentally opened up some confidential info while I was recording. I had to go into that video and cut all that stuff out. So, I mentioned this before, but I haven't made an announcement that I'm working for anybody yet, but I am doing some contract work in games, and you sign these NDAs, so like I have two computers and I try to keep all my NDA stuff on the other computer, but obviously I have to draw on this one, so I have to be careful there. It's a little bit of a learning curve in terms of just taking your time to shut stuff down, make sure everything's clear, and then working. But that's actually how I spent the first 5 years doing this. So it's not a big deal. It's just annoying. I was like, oh shit, let's not do that. So that's fixed. Not a problem now. What else have I been doing? Oh, so I started these. What I did do instead of streaming was I post pics on Instagram, right? Like, we work and we draw, and I'll take a photo with my phone at the screen and then post it on the Instagram. But it's very hard to get a sense of what I'm doing in those posts. I can type it, people don't read it. I spent the last couple of years just typing very little. I don't know. So what I did was, on the Dragon Ball, I started to record little videos so I can sort of explain what I'm doing, right? And Instagram has a 60-second time limit for the videos. After several of these, I don't know why, I just started calling it the 60-second podcast. And a lot of the Instagram folk were like, we like the 60-second podcast. It's, so I can give little tips and explain what I'm doing specifically at certain points for every piece I work on. Because a lot of this information is the same, but it gets applied to different pieces of art. So being able to show, a color pencil piece, but then show a digital piece and kind of walk through it in small little bits, 60-second bits, I think is really beneficial to the more entry-level artists, and even to guys like myself. If I could get a 60-second walkthrough on stuff from the guys and gals that I look up to, that'd be awesome, right? So I've taken those same videos on Instagram, and I'm slowly uploading them here on the YouTube channel. So that'll be in the podcast feed that I'm doing here under 60-second podcast. And then, in this case, it'll be Dragon Ball development. So that's cool. It's not going to replace real-time streaming or speed videos. It's just an extra thing that, I record for the Instagram, and then I download the videos off my Instagram account, and then just re-upload them to the YouTube with the thumbnail. So it's not extra work, right? So you're able to take one thing and utilize it across 2 or 3 different platforms. So it goes into Instagram, it goes into Facebook, it goes into Twitter, and then eventually it comes back up here with the thumbnails, and it's all organized per project forever. And I got it in the playlist, so it'll start in order. So if you start with 1 and it goes to the next one, it goes to 2 and 3 and 4. So it doesn't go in reverse. So when you upload things into playlists, they'll tend to start, the newest to the oldest. So I've had Brandon working with me for the past year, taking all the videos that I got, all the videos, in all the playlists, and arranging them so that they're all in order, from the first video down to, the most current. The downside of that is that the newest videos don't appear on the front page because they're in order. They go back. So yeah, I don't know a good way to get around that right now. Other than I think that the page not looking like it's updated is less important to me than when you're in the playlist being able to watch them in order, right? So I don't know. That's a YouTube thing. They need to make something that I don't know. I don't know how to do that yet. I wish they would make something that would just let you pick. I mean, they kind of do, but I don't know. I'll devote some more brain power to it at another day. What else have I been doing? So I got my sleep schedule. I've been resetting, so now I'm up around 7:30 in the morning. Make the coffee, let the dog out, and then I'm supposed to be. I do the podcast between 7:40, 7:50, 8, somewhere around there, and then I write until about 9 a.m. And unless I don't feel like doing a morning podcast, then I just go straight to writing, which is for Game Cave. And then from 9 to 1, I have 3 work blocks: 9 to 1, 2 to 6, and then 9 to 1. So work block 1 right now is contract work. Work block 2 right now is contract work. And then work block 3 is power prints and commissions. And that's during the week. And on the weekend, it's whatever needs priority. So if commissions need priority on the weekend, it's commissions. If Game Cave needs priority, it's Game Cave. If it's power prints, it's whatever needs priority on the weekends. And the reason why I got 2 work blocks set up for contract work is I got 2 separate contracts, and one will probably last a good long while. Could be years. It's with people I know. They know me, so we've had a history, and so that's nice. Work block 2 is some of this gaming stuff, and I don't know, that could last a week, it could last a year, it could last 3 months. So when that goes away, that block will then be used for power prints or Game Cave, one or the other, until the next contract comes up, and then that gets slotted back in. That's how it works. And then as I finish power prints, work block 3 becomes Game Cave. And as for commissions would be on the weekend, basically. So the weekend, or one of these work blocks, I can alternate. So it's going to be a little bit of some adjustments. Like, it's hard. I mean, there is no one way for all this. Every time, like, if you're able to control your entire day, minus health and life, right? Like, you're able to control your work blocks. Every other year or so, you kind of, you kind of go, oh, this is the new way. I'm really productive this way, and then, oh, that's that. I tried this other thing, and I'm way productive that way. And I think one of the reasons for that isn't that any particular way is actually better than the other. Is that much like our diets, we need to vary things. We need to vary them up. So one of the things that I have found that has worked for me very well since high school. Matter of fact, I'll tell this story. So when I went to high school, I lived in this town called Lakeside, and I wasn't liked by many people. I was one of those kids, just not liked. And I was constantly getting into fights. Not my choice, just I grew really tall. In the 7th grade, I hit like 6'2". And became a target. And I couldn't fight for shit because my dad wouldn't let me. He didn't ever want me fighting, so I just got my ass kicked a lot. And so to avoid spending the next 4 years in high school going through fights, my father did this thing called an inter-district transfer. So I'm in one town, my high school was in another, about 7 miles away. And when I went to this high school, it was 1992, they had 7 classes. Each one was like 30 minutes each, something like that. So it was a fucking nightmare. And every class wanted an hour's worth of homework. So it's more like 6 hours of homework, kind of. between 5 and 6 hours of homework. Unless you had a PE, then you can kind of get it down to 4 to 5 hours. But when I came home, I had to take care of my brothers. I had to make dinner and get the place clean and do the laundry and make sure their homework was done. I had to make sure the lawn was watered at night. My father only wanted the lawn watered at night. He owned his own security business, so he'd go out around midnight and take a mag light and check for dry spots on the lawn. And I had to have his dinner ready, and I had to make sure he got up by midnight. And so I was up till about 1 a.m. every night by high school. I didn't have time to do 4 or 5 hours of just homework, ever. And I wasn't doing well in grades for the first couple of years. I got to the point where I was getting D's and F's no matter how hard I tried because I couldn't study. And I just didn't know what to do because I was doing my work, I just couldn't study. So for whatever reason, my junior year, my high school went to this thing called a block schedule. They gave us 3 classes. Each one was 2 hours each. And then there was a 15-minute break and a 30-minute lunch. And I immediately went from D's and F's to A's and B's, finally to straight A's, because I was able to do all my work and studying in class. And then when I came home, if there was anything left to do, it wasn't more than an hour or 2 of stuff. At the most ever. It was usually like 30 minutes tops per class. And if one of those classes was art, or one of those classes was, something creative, then that's what I was doing at home, right? So I immediately was able to succeed. No, the classes weren't any easier. The work wasn't any easier, but they gave us the time to do it. They just rotated your classes quicker. So it was 3 classes for 8 weeks, and then 3 classes. And so there was 4 different blocks. Anyway, every 3 months, or whatever, every 2 months you were changing classes. Didn't care. And I've always responded to that. So this is similar to that schedule. 4-hour block, a 4-hour block, a 4-hour block. Allotting for the fact that I'm probably going to get sick. If I get sick and I need to use up 2 blocks for sleep for a day or 2, fine. If 3 blocks, fine. If I have life, whatever. But it's manageable. Now, it's only manageable because I don't have kids, and my wife understands that this is how I run my life. But when people, like a lot of newer artists, ask me, how do you stay so disciplined? How do you motivate yourself? And I think for me, the easiest thing is knowing that I have these blocks, and then I get to step away for an hour. Then I have these blocks, and I get to step away for an hour. And think about it, And then when I'm in that block, if I can give any advice to when you're working on stuff, especially artwork for clients, is calm down. Don't, especially when you get to higher level stuff, not just random freelance on the internet, but for companies, you gotta put some thought into what it is you're trying to do. Everything you lay down is intentional. When you submit stuff, they're gonna want to know why you went this way, what you chose this way, what you did this, why did you do this, and you need to be able to explain those processes. So, thinking things through and writing down your thoughts on your projects and being intentional and then getting to work is a skill set that you just don't show up out of school, college, or whatever with. It takes years, and it has to be intentional. It's intentional time. So but this is how I've always managed to stay motivated. Even when I had a day job, I'd have to get up at a certain time, sometimes earlier or whatever, go to a job, drive, come back. But I always would break those days into blocks. If it's 3-hour increments, even when I'm at work, I'd give myself 3 hours to think this way, to think that way. Even if I'm being unless it's crunch time and you're just responding to whatever they hand you. But for the most part, breaking things into little blocks, and then allowing myself to have that time to either produce work or to develop work. And then when that time is done, you gotta stop. I'd say that's actually the hardest part, is knowing when to stop, because you get all into it. Like right now, like we're at the 20-minute mark, and although I'd love to keep talking for another hour, it's time to stop. It is Friday, December 22nd, 2017, and it's time to go to work.